Hello, this is Jack Olmstead, GMO Free News. I'm here today with photographer, Flint Water Photographer, Megan Kreger. She's with
Hello.
Izzo Mezzo Media, and
hmm
she has been covering the Flint Water Crisis for a year. Can I say that?
Um,
A year? Did you
I
start?
mean, I've definitely been following it for over a year, but I started photographing it more in September. Unfortunately, I don't have as many photographs of as many protests as I would like, because one of the ways that Flint water impacted me was it increased my anxiety. So after a couple lifestyle changes, I was able to basically handle crowds again. And so I've really been on it this year with photographing it, but unfortunately, I missed a bunch. But
What what what
better late than
what
never.
kicked you into gear in September?
Um, I was part of the Virginia Tech water study. And so just seeing the amount of time and effort that went into even packaging those boxes up and basically sealing them as evidence, like that really opened my eyes and it made me think, okay, something is very wrong here if, a water test is being treated as evidence. And so I started really paying attention then. And I actually have some pictures from the Virginia Town Hall meeting.
How did tell us about the experience? How did you become involved in the Virginia Tech water study?
I started looking into the effects of lead poisoning and things that it could cause and the impact it could have on your life. And too many things started adding up. And I'm like, okay, well, we definitely need our water tested.
Where did you get that link? Because at that time they were saying that it was safe. Was Virginia Tech back in October talking about lead in the water? I thought
It
they
was
were trying.
actually,
I thought they were trying to squash that in the mainstream media in M
well,
Live.
a lot of it also stems from a conversation I had with Melissa Mays when she picked up our testing kit, and she was telling us about some of the experiences that she'd gone through with her health. And my dad's like, well, yeah, my joints have hurt. And she's like, yep, it affects your joints. And she was telling us about her own firsthand experiences with this. And then I was like, well, what about this? Could it cause kidney issues? Because that's one of the random things that I started having. So a lot of it just added up. And, I didn't want to go like straight for the conspiracy and be like, well, it's got to be this. But I did a little more research. I went to my doctor. I did test, I believe it was zero point zero 0.08 micrograms per deciliter. So that's pretty low, but it's still in my system. And when you haven't drank water from one, we're still testing with lead, like that just, it didn't seem right to me. So, I mean, it's really frustrating. And then we weren't getting answers. We were still being told, it's okay. And then started coming out. And like the reason why I photograph protests and why I go to protests is because I'm so angry at everything that's happened. And to be perfectly honest, the only way that I can deal with it is to have some sort of an outlet. And some people, they go to a protest, they yell, they scream, they've got their signs. As a photographer, I have to stay unbiased. But that doesn't mean that, I can't be there. It doesn't mean I can't tell those stories. So, I mean, a picture says, they always say a picture says 1,000 words. So I try to let the pictures I take speak for themselves.
So
So,
you were just one of the many residents that participated in the Virginia Tech water study, where they knocked on your door, they called you, they contacted you somehow, and they said, would you like to have your water tested? And you went, yeah, sure, okay, I will have our water tested. You got the kits, you filled up the water bottles, and then when you were handing those water bottles off to Melissa Mays, you got in a conversation about, gee, liver, joints. You were going, whoa,
Kidneys.
Kidneys.
Mental impact.
I need to hit Google and find out about lead poisoning. Is that kind of how it went?
Well, close. It wasn't Virginia Tech that knocked on my door. I actually found out through Facebook that there was a testing program. And I was like, oh, this sounds awesome, because first off, I'm going into meteorology. So as a scientist, that was very appealing to me. But also just the mental security of knowing, okay, well, that's what my water level is. My water lead level is. Our water tested at 3.9 micrograms per deciliter. So anything above 5, they were saying, okay, you can't drink. And I'm like, okay, 3.9, that still seems high. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to not feel guilty, because there's a lot of people who have it worse off than me. And sometimes I feel like my health issues might not be as deserving of attention or something like that. But it affects everybody differently. I mean, everybody in the city has been impacted. You can have low lead water levels, but if you've got a compromised immune system like mine, it's going to affect you a little bit more.
There you go.
Excuse me. Yep, bottled water.
Really show that you are a Flint resident. You're never too far away from a bottled water.
Nope. Honestly, if I get to like there being less than a dozen bottles left, I get a little nervous, because that's about 2 days worth of water just for me. If it gets to like 4 bottles, you know, I'm calling people going, okay, can anybody get me to fire station, because I got to go pick up water. But the good news is my partner is wonderful. He volunteers basically across from one of the fire stations. So he's able to get it on a regular basis. Since, I mean, I'd gladly go get it myself, but I don't drive, and I've got a carpal tunnel in both wrists, and I just had surgery on one of them. So my lifting capability isn't back to where it should be, and so I can only lift about half a case of bottled water at a time, which makes it a little hard if, you know, because a lot of these cases are actually, they're really big. One of my friends actually surprised me. She tweeted me out of the blue, and she's like, hey, what's your address? Never mind, I found it. And I'm like, what is going on? She's like, oh, you'll have a surprise. 2 days later, there's 6 dozen bottles of water, 236 bottle packs outside my door. And I'm like, what's... And so I posted a picture, and I'm like, oh, someone sent me a special delivery. And she's like, you're welcome. But it was just, at the same time, it's very surreal to, you know, have one of your friends that lives across the country, actually over by you, Jack. She's in Washington. It's very strange to live like this, you know, and it's like, we don't know when it's going to end. You know, I'm not one of the people that bathes in bottled water. It seems like a really big hassle.
Well, not yet. Melissa just got a bunch of Coleman camping showers.
Yes.
And she's going to be distributing those out so that people can take their bottled water and have themselves portable showers.
Yeah. And I actually told her that, you know, because she was discussing that, I believe it first started to be a thing on, and I use those words with great fondness because I know MDEQ didn't. But she was talking about it in on the bus to DC, and she's like, I think Coleman just sent me like 34,000 camping showers. And I'm like, what? What the heck?
30. She
So,
didn't tell me 34,000. She just said some
she
camping
thought that,
showers.
yeah, she said that she thought that they might have. And like I said, this is at the very, very beginning when Coleman first called her and it's like, hey, we want to donate these. Well, I'm not quite sure, but that's mentally how I picture the conversation going. So, oops, irresponsible reporting. Please don't take away my press pass.
That's right. You get a press pass to go to events, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I do, actually. The most recent one was for Bernie when he spoke
Aha.
at.
And you went and covered the event. 9,000 people showed up at the Bernie event. That's what they said.
Yeah, I mean, that rally was absolutely amazing. I mean, like, I'm really glad that I went because, I mean, there was so much positivity there. And, you know, it was the first time that I guess Bernie had actually spoken with people from Flint. And, you know, you could just tell that it impacted him personally. And I've got a couple shots of him looking straight into my camera. I was wearing a Flint Lives Matter shirt, and it was amazing when I went back through the photographs, and I'm like, I took these? Wow. You know, as an artist, you always get faced with the insecurities of, is my stuff any good? And I'm not gonna lie, that stuff was good. I'm like, to this day, I still look at it and it's amazing. I can actually pull up some photos here really quickly. Let me just find them. The most poignant picture I got was actually when Bernie took a sip from a bottled water and he was staring straight at me. And that I thought just, that was kind of overwhelming. It's like, it's just a bottled water, but
Are you going to get a press pass to the Democratic debates?
oh, I hope so. I really do hope so. I mean, that's kind of, I'm thinking of that as a once in a lifetime opportunity, and that would be so, so amazing.
What do you have to do?
That's a good question. I haven't gotten in touch with the DNC yet. I have talked to some people in Bernie's campaign, and no one really knows yet. So
You got to
just
know.
in,
It's like the 7th of March. It's like 2 weeks away.
I know, I really gotta start pounding the pavement on that one.
Somebody knows.
Somebody knows, they're just not telling me. That's one of the issues about being independent media. Unfortunately, I feel as though I'm not taken as seriously as some people, and this doesn't always help. This is my camera. It is basically always 3 feet away from me. And as you can see, it's pink. So
It's definitely pink.
yeah, it makes a lot of people do double takes, and I feel like sometimes it makes people look at me and go, "Oh, pink camera, she can't be serious." But at the same time, I do get a certain amount of glee out of them being like, "Oh, it's a pink camera. That's yeah." And then I see my shots and I post them, and it's like, "Whoa, that little pink camera kicks butt. So, but all right, one of the more poignant pictures, I have this now. Let me just start screen sharing. And is it going? There we go.
There he is, Bernie, looking right at you, drinking bottled water.
I kind of wish I knew what was going through his head at that point in time. You know, but I think about stuff like that and just little things like, I mean, you can see he's not happy that something has impacted him. And I really think that, you know, speaking with the people from Flint, like that really would have, it's hard to not be affected by it. You know, there are so many people with so many stories, and
did he talk to you?
No, I wish. That would have been amazing.
It sounded like he talked to Melissa.
I do not know that. So
he was talking with the mother about her sons and the drop of IQ points and not doing well in math and in school, and that just sounds like Melissa's story.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I didn't see her at the rally. I can't remember. I talked to her. I can find out. I don't know if she was there or not. It would have been a blast if she was.
Well, it's all water under the bridge. You would think that she's going to be at the Democratic debate on the 7th. I'm sure she'd get out of her sick bed to go to that debate.
Oh, yeah. You know, honestly, I hope so. I really hope there's a lot of Flint people that get to go. It's kind of hard to tell, though, because, you know, we don't know who's going to get to go. We don't know how to get tickets. The most informative answer I've gotten is that within the Bernie campaign, volunteers, they're basically going to do a lottery, and, well, maybe not a lottery, but the more you volunteer, the more likely you are to be able to get to go. So, all right, check this really quick.
But how about the water warriors? How about the moms? How about the kids? How about the...
Exactly, they're the people that should get to go.
The school teachers, the social workers. Who gets to go?
Yeah,
and the independent media that's been covering this for quite some time. That's right. Do a little dance. Yeah. You're deserving. Who's to say you're not? And who's the decider on this? Anderson Cooper and group, probably.
Yeah, you know, I'm glad he's moderating, because I feel like he does a really good job with the debates. Maybe not town halls as much, judging by the most recent performance. But, I mean, he's a good moderator.
I don't think he's covered the Flint Water Crisis yet. I haven't seen any reports. I haven't seen any video footage of Anderson Cooper getting real mad about what's happening in Flint.
Yeah. I haven't seen any either. It's kind of a disappointment when you know of someone that hasn't really brought it up. Like, I've made it pretty clear or insinuated that I'm a Bernie supporter. It was a little hurtful that Hillary brought it up first. It's like, come on, infrastructure is your thing.
Hillary is the reason why they're having the debate in Flint. She pushed for it. I mean, this goes to the core of Hillary as a woman. She's totally disgusted And that's, you know, that you know, really affects people when they hear her talking about her connection to the moms of Flint.
Yeah.
She has empathy. You can see the empathy pouring out of her with Bernie. Throw the guy in jail. Let's get Snyder, you know, to resign. I mean, that's his take. And then of course he gets emotionally affected when he talks to residents. But with Hillary, she's like from the get-go, you know.
Yeah, and actually I know one thing that they've done is she just recently set up a campaign office, and they did, I guess they do have supplies there for it to be a resource center. So that's actually one thing that is really cool. Both the campaign offices that are in Flint right now, they are water distribution sites. And they do have, I do believe that they've got other supplies as well. So, I mean, that's one thing that really impresses me is that, okay, you're not just there to get votes. You actually are trying to give back to the community as well. And I think a lot of people might not know that they're distribution sites. So guys, I'm officially telling you, go get water. They don't card. You don't need an ID.
Well, maybe you can go down and take some pictures with people drinking bottles of waters at the offices. Have the little Bernie T-shirts, the Bernie yard signs in the background. I would think they could, like on their yard signs, on their buttons, have a little plastic water bottle or have something that mentions Flint having, you know, material that's reflects the tragedy in Flint. And of course, Hillary made a 1-minute PSA infomercial to get people to donate money. I think Kids for Flint, Flint for Kids, or flintkids.org. So she is going the extra mile here.
Yeah.
But Trump sent his semi-truck. Trump's semi-truck has been going around and around and around the city for probably a month.
And yet it eludes me. It is my white elephant, right, or white rhino right now. I haven't been able to get a picture of it yet. I know that I was going by one of the protests, but it's like every single time I turned around, it'd be out of range. So
I've seen a number of pictures of it, and we've had it in our live stream videos. But so that's Trump's presence, a big semi truck with his image on it.
I think it'd do a lot better if maybe the truck stopped and raised the back, and it turned out there were supplies there.
He can afford it. It could be the Trump water wagon.
It'd work.
Stop me. We got cases of water for you. And they could go down neighborhoods. I mean, why not? It would do a lot better than this big, huge semi truck just going in circles. You know, whenever there's a crowd, there's the Trump truck. Empty, which kind of goes with his campaign. The empty Trump truck. No water for you.
Your words, not mine.
Just a bunch of air in our truck. No water for you.
Yeah, actually, give me just a second here. I'll pull it up.
Trump has got to make good on this. Trump, I mean, hopefully his minions out there, I don't know if we call them minions, his handlers, the people that, you know, give him advice, or maybe him. Maybe he's going to watch this. Maybe it's going to pick it up. Fill up that truck with water. You know, not air, water. How's that for a slogan? They could put that on a sign. Trump, fill your truck with that water, not air. And stop.
If wishes were nickels,
Stop
I'd be
circling.
rich.
Stop circling the crowd. Stop and give us water. Or actually, I think the water warriors want this truck to stop and give out checks to pay their water bills. How's that?
I would be okay with that.
So how's your water bill?
It's pretty high right now. I know it's around $600, but I also know that we haven't been paying the full thing because, I mean, you know, I showed you the piece of tooth earlier. I
Show
had bad
the
teeth.
audience
Yeah.
your tooth. Let's talk about your tooth story.
Okay, so
we can't see it. It's there's a flare. There's a glare. Do it sideways, so we don't get the sideways. Sideways. There's whoops. No, sideways. Okay, that's kind of okay. That's the tooth. That's the tooth that you pulled out. Was it yesterday?
It was on Monday.
It was on Monday. You pull it out with what?
Pliers.
You go into your mouth, you see this tooth, you pull it out with pliers because it's annoying you.
Well, no, it was a little chunk of tooth. Like my teeth, and I know your viewers are probably horrified right now. I'm not crazy. I'm just getting by. So one of the things that lead does when it impacts your teeth is it basically or causes them to rot from the inside out. And so brushing my teeth in the water, even though I'm flossing twice a day and, you know, brushing at least twice a day, I started having more issues and, you know, old fillings falling out and whatnot. And you know it's bad when you bite into like a Subway flatbread and you have a tooth break. And so I'm like anybody, you know, if you got something stuck in your teeth, you're going to fuss with it. Well, it's kind of the same sensation, except for it's like a little chunk of tooth. And so it was bothering me and it got really loose. And basically the only way that I would be able to get it out is go to a dentist, which I'm kind of deathly afraid of. And or you can pull it out. And so I couldn't get a grip, so I pulled it out. And after that, my partner's like, I'm making calls to a dentist. But it's been really crazy because like to try to take care of your teeth, even if they're not in the best shape to start with, and then, you know, you find out later that basically the water you were brushing them in was making it worse, that really sucks. And it was only at the Steve Harvey show taping that we really got a definitive answer of don't bathe, don't bathe in it, don't brush your teeth in it. So yeah, there's a bottle of water in the bathroom now. I was a little irritated because it was empty this morning, but I just went and got another one. But I hate to say it, but I've probably pulled out at least 3 little chunks like this, and it's just.
We're talking about teeth from your mouth, and so you're pretty handy now with a pair of pliers around your mouth.
Oh, I hate to say it, but I just might be.
So if anybody has any issues in Flint with their teeth, you know, they're a little wiggly.
I can help you. I can help you. If you've got like a first grader, you know, just can't seem to get it out for the tooth fairy, you know, no charge. It's for the kids.
Well, we were talking.
I'm pretty sure that's not hygienic, actually, but
That's right. I mean, how do you get your pliers clean? Do you boil them in bottled water before you?
no, I basically rinse them down with hydrogen peroxide and then alcohol, and then rinse them off in bottled water. I figure, one of them will help with the bacteria. So
We were kind of kidding, but everything, kidding aside, it has some truthiness to it.
yep.
And we were talking about Flint Teeth for Truth.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that
Absolutely.
slogan?
Absolutely. And that's actually why this piece of tooth is in a little baggie, because I was talking with Melissa Mays and she's like, oh yeah, if you lose any teeth, set them aside and send them in for testing. And I'm like, okay, cool. So when I do get to the dentist, which I've been told is going to happen within 2 weeks, which I think I'm actually ready to go now because this is ridiculous. Yeah, I know I'm going to have some taken out. And so I'll just be like, I brought baggies. Can you please put it in rinse it off, put it in this? Just because it's, who knows what we can find out from it.
Well, we know
I'm not going to use it.
we know the lifespan of lead in the bloodstream is around 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then, a lot of the lead gets flushed out one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But there is some lead that goes into your bones, into your organs, into your fatty blood cells, I think, your fatty tissues, I believe, and into your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have teeth and you live in Flint and they fall out, you can send them in for analysis that will give you a better picture of the lead that's in you, not in your blood system, because that goes away, but in your bones.
Mm-hmm. And actually, oops, sorry, go ahead.
Well, there were studies done, I think back in the 40s, where they took children's teeth and from an elementary school, and they found out how much lead these elementary students had based on the teeth that fell out, their first teeth. And then the kids that had high lead in their systems, they followed them for 20 years to find out what kind of adults they turned into. And they didn't turn into, tax-paying members of society. And so based on those studies, we have determined that lead introduced into people creates a whole bunch of issues, health-wise, mental-wise, and IQ point-wise, and just the anxiety that people have that can be brought on by lead, that impulsiveness, that I'm not going to think this through, I'm just going to go and do it. I need money, I'm going to go rob a bank because this will be the answer to my problems. I mean, those are the decisions that are made by somebody who is poisoned with the lead. So anyway, teeth, as Dr. Mona Hanna-Attisha has said, is kind of like the tree rings that we can see your lead exposure over time. So why there isn't a mass pouring out of a study to get people to, or through dentists in Flint, a program to start analyzing teeth in people is totally beyond me. And
Yeah,
why
I
and
mean,
why and
it's
why we have to talk about that. You take a pair of pliers, you pull out this chunk of tooth, and it's like, okay, I'll send this in. I'll do it. And then we start
Mhm.
talking like truth for teeth, or Flint teeth for truth. Good little
I like
slogan,
that. I like that.
because the truth is in the teeth. I mean, it's not going to be in the blood samples. It's going to be in your teeth. That's what's
Mhm.
going to tell people how much lead you actually have in your system.
Mhm. And not only that, but I feel like that bring quite a bit of peace of mind to me as well, because lead being in my system is still a very real concern for me. I'm 30 years old. I'm getting ready to settle down, and I don't know if I should have biological children because of the multi-generational impact on people who, are dealing with lead poisoning. It's here, I'll see if I can find a link real quick.
Well, you've done the studies.
Mm-hmm.
Lead
And
in your system you have a higher risk of miscarriages.
mhm, much higher. It's what I believe 30 or 40% higher.
Well, there are some studies that say that it's 60%. It depends on who you talk to.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, back in the day, we're talking the 20s or 30s. I think this might be just a joke, but people were told that if you have children, if you're a mother, you have lead in your system. If you have children, then your fetus will draw out the blood from draw out the lead from your body. It's a way
Mm-hmm.
to cleanse yourself of lead.
Yeah. And it's I wonder how many women in the area might be of the same opinion as me, and even scary, I wonder how many women don't know that, their future kids will be impacted by this. I mean, it's just Flint water is the gift that keeps on giving. So it's just, stuff like this is why I go to the protests, why I photograph them, because it's something I can do. It's something that I can do to help tell the story, to get it out there, because it is so much worse than we realize. It's just, it's, it can, it's almost too much at times. But I know for me, I'm going to be transferring to meteorology school. And so I'm really looking forward to moving. But, I'm probably going to be moving down to Oklahoma. Actually, I am moving down to Oklahoma, and I know there's a lot of fracking there, and that impacts the groundwater tables. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know if I will ever be able to drink water from the tap ever again. Like, I've got a water filter on, but we're still having health issues. So I got a second water filter. Like, I've got one of the zero water pitchers. And so, like, I will filter water through the sink, and then I will filter water through that again. And that's what the cats get. But me, I'll stick to bottled water because I tried a glass of it and it tasted normal. It tasted exactly the way that water should. It was crystal clear the way that water should. But there was a deep-seated, like, tightness in my chest that's like, do you really want to drink this? Are you sure this is safe? And I don't see that going away anytime soon. I I really don't. It's why risk it? I've already been through it once, so
You're
I will
moving to
probably be
Oklahoma.
drinking these a long time. Mm-hmm.
You're moving to Oklahoma. You've made that decision.
Mm-hmm.
What keep people in Flint? And if people had the money, would they stay in Flint?
I'd like to think so, because contrary to what you hear on the news and stuff, Flint is actually, there's been a lot of stuff getting put in lately, like the farmers market and the revitalization of downtown. It's actually a pretty cool place to live. It's just there's little pockets. But I think that's a really personal decision that people should reflect upon. And I mean, I know of a lot of people that if they could move, they did. The family of the child that was on the cover of Time magazine, they moved to Swartz Creek because bathing in bottled water, it got to be too much for them. And they're like, no, we need to find a new place to live. We just can't deal with this anymore. But like you said, there are a lot of people that can't afford to move. So it's something that's fixable, but we don't know when it's going to be fixed. So it's really hard to answer that question. If I had a car and I had the money, I probably would move. Hell, if I had the money, I would seriously consider it. Like I said, I don't drive, so I just try to get a place by public transit. But
How is
I
public
mean,
transit in Flint?
it's good. I wish that there was more of it, but I mean, it's really cool because the older buses, a lot of people don't know this, but the older buses in Flint, we've got two types. We've got hybrids and we've got standard. And then the standard buses were actually the shuttle buses that were used at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. So it's kind of cool if you know that you're riding around on a little piece of history. But there's issues with the extended service. The buses go by every half hour. So it's really, the two experiences I've had with public transit are in San Diego and Flint. So, I mean, I think it's pretty decent. I think it'd be cool if we had a trolley like San Diego. But I mean, it's enough you can get by. So there's been issues. I know a couple summers ago, like over winter, there were some accidents, and so they actually had to really cut back bus service. Like there were times during the day where they only ran once an hour, and then they stopped running the buses altogether after, I believe, 6 p.m. And they're like, oh, well, you can rely on your ride. Well, that's great, except for your ride costs twice as much. And, well, it's a crapshoot to see when/if they show up. So, but a lot of people use it. I believe it was within the top 10 fastest growing public transit systems in the US. So, yeah. I don't know. That's not a topic I'm as knowledgeable about. I just can only speak from my personal experiences.
Sure. Well, let's talk from your personal experiences. You want to show us some pictures? You've been on buses to Washington, D.C. You were on a bus to Steve Harvey in Chicago. You were at the rally with Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Yeah. So real quick, first, I want to show everyone a little snippet of Flint life. This was back in January. Give me just a sec. Screen share, screen 2. So what this is this is the street I live in.
Well,
And
so far we just have a black screen. We
oh,
don't have a picture yet.
okay. Really?
Really?
Huh. That is an issue. So
All I see
how
is
about
a
now?
black. I see a truck and
Okay.
police vehicles
Yeah.
and people with water.
Okay. So this was the first delivery we got. We've actually we've gotten, this was the first one by volunteers. And this guy was pretty cool. He came, dropped it off. We had the National Guard come by once and Red Cross volunteers come by once. So that's not a whole lot of water deliveries, but you know, it was really cool that they were doing that in the beginning. So let me drop this down, back to album. So you were mentioning some of the other ones. Let's make sure I've got them all up on my Flickr. Ah! All right, so unfortunately, it seems that I do not have, oh, who am I? Hang on, I'm so sorry about this. Let me just open up my Facebook page.
Which Facebook page are you going to be opening up?
I'm going to be opening up the business page that I have set up. So this is one of the photographs from the DC trip. This is when we were first leaving.
And you're on the bus.
I was, and
Now that's a 14-hour bus ride to DC?
Oh, it was terrible, but it was amazing all at the same time.
Were you on the bus with Melissa or the bus without Melissa?
I was wondering who she was talking to the entire time, but it seems that it was you.
Well, yeah, I think for about an hour or so. We did a live stream while she was in transit going to Washington, D.C. and then coming back from Washington, D.C.